Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Preston M. Smith. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm Preston M. Smith, at PMS Artwork everywhere on internet land and socials. I want to thank you for landing on this podcast. Whether you're a professional artist, just getting started in the art world, a collector of art, or just consider yourself a creative person, this podcast has something for you. I like to think of it as a fun way to rant and talk to other creative people about living the life of an artist, surviving and getting ahead in the art world, and enjoying your life. But most importantly, not waiting until you're dead to make it happen. All right, let's get started. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's also creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
This episode is sponsored by NJM Insurance. The last thing you want to hear while listening to your favorite podcast is another gimmicky ad. NJM feels the same way. It's why they've provided award-winning service without the use of mascots or repetitive jingles for over 100 years. Unlike just about everyone else. Instead of gimmicks, they'd rather focus on what's important, what they can do for you. When you apply for an auto, home, or renter's policy, NJM will work hard to ensure you get the coverage that's right for you. It's part of the award-winning customer service they're known for. And when you upgrade to NJM, you could save on your auto insurance. So you get better service and possible savings. It's a win-win situation. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. NJM. To see how much you could save on your auto insurance, visit njm.com/podcast. That's njm.com/podcast.
Talking in the rain, just talking in the rain. What a glorious feeling. I'm podcasting again. Got a smile on my face.
Go away, come again another day. Rain, rain, go away, come again another day.
Hi-ho, Kermit the Frog here, reporting live from the center of the bomb cyclone. Yay!
Oh my God. It is true. I'm coming to you live from the center of the bomb cyclone. Well, not the center. We are lucky in Southern California. We're not getting hit as hard as Northern California is, but this bomb cyclone rain has been crazy. My wife and I have already dealt with some major leaks that had to force us to do some home improvements and some major damage outside in the back of our place. And yeah, it's been a little crazy. The bomb cyclone is real. So I thought I'd do a little rain-themed intro at the beginning and, keeping it creepy as I always do. Pete Holmes keeps it crispy. I keep it creepy. So welcome back to the podcast. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope your 2023 is off to a good start amidst the rain, of course, and in other parts of the country, the cold and the snow and all that jazz. But hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's keeping focused. I thought I would come to you with an episode between some interviews here about random thoughts during the rain, because a lot of us are stuck inside. There's not much we can do when it's flooding in California. And I thought I would just share with you some thoughts and some madness, as always, some topics I've been thinking about, and, all these repairs and crap that came about recently just got me thinking about how you can just never plan, You always think you have everything. Everything's fine. At least I got this fixed. And then boom, you got some puddles coming down into your dining room, and, you're having to crawl up in the attic and breathe in all the old asbestos, all that shit that's going on up there. And then you have to do some crazy last minute fixing to keep your house in good condition. And it's kind of like what you do with art and what you do with your career as it changes and as it evolves. Things come at you, things hit you from all sides, from all angles, things that you couldn't plan for. And even if that's just distraction, you know what I mean? Like, I find that it's so easy today to get distracted. It's like whether you're, I got to get my NFT game strong, or, oh my God, AI art's taking over. I got to figure out what's going on with that so I'm not left in the wake with that as well. Or like, oh my God, I got to get my stuff online, or oh my God, I got to get my stuff into galleries, and I got to promote this, and I got to get my advertising game strong, and I got to do all this, and I got to create, and I got to find time to do all this. It's maddening. So it just reminds me that, yes, of course, you got to roll with the punches. When something happens, you got to work on it. When your roof leaks, you got to fix it. When something comes at you out of left field in the art world that you've got to just adapt to, well, you got to adapt to it. Otherwise, you're going to be not necessarily left behind, but it's just always important to always be evolving and always be open to new things that are coming out, and at least have some knowledge of what's going on. So it's not like 10 years down the road and you're like, yeah, I really wish I would have figured that whole thing out. I really wish I would have gotten my work online. I could just go down the list of how many times things have changed and evolved, and things that I've done well, things that I haven't done well, and things that I was prepared for, or things that I jumped on top of that really served me well, and things that I didn't, that I wish I'd gotten on. Like, I wish I had gotten involved with the NFT game early on when people were killing it and people were making a lot of money. I wish I would have gotten involved with that. Now, I have all my own excuses for that, of course, as we all do. But, the simple fact is that I could have, and I could have jumped on that early. I could have figured it out. I could have learned it. I could have got some stuff up there, and I probably could have made some money. But I didn't. And yeah, NFTs are still around, but it's all changing. Everything's changing. Bubbles burst a little bit. It's going to be here to stay, but it's nice to kind of get in on the ground floor on some of these things. It doesn't have to be with just that. One of the things I did really well was I got my online game strong really early. And, I figured that out, and I stuck with it, and I kept my head down, and I just worked it until it started working. And then when it started working, it gained momentum, and now I'm really happy. And that served me well through the pandemic, and it served me well now. It serves me well all the time. It's something that is very consistent with me. Now, that could change down the road, but so far it's been something that's really served me well for about 8 or 9 years straight, and I think it's going to serve me well longer than that. So these are things, that we have to be willing to, adapt and see and have some foresight and go, okay, is this going to be something that's going to be a hit? Or if it's not, or if you don't know, at least figure it out, do some research, ask people who know more than you do, figure out if it's your thing. And it also reminds me that there's something very important, getting back to the distractions topic, which is once you find one or two of those things that are really in your wheelhouse or something that you want to focus on, once you find one or two of those things that you do really well and something that's serving you well, keep doing it. Keep consistent. Don't be so distracted by all the new stuff that you forget about it and you lose momentum with certain things, because I have to remind myself all the time. I'm like, okay, online. This has served me well. Keep doing it. Keep doing the consistency. I've been doing the consistency strong for 9 years, 10 years even, if you want to talk about before it started hitting for me. And it has served me well to kind of keep away some of the distractions. Now, you have to find time for some of them, because some of those things can end up being a really big thing for you. But don't get so distracted that you're just all over the place. You're spreading yourself thin and you're not really focusing on anything, because I'm telling you, I've done this. I've said this so many times on the podcast, but people still don't really listen to it. And that is consistency, quality and consistency over time. You will find that if you keep doing that, you keep narrowing the playing field. It gets smaller and smaller as you rise up. If you keep on that game, if you keep doing it, that's something that's so important. So be aware of what's out there, have some foresight, learn new things, learn new apps, learn new technology if you can, but also focus on the things that really matter and that work for you. in your career and stick with those and be consistent with those, because if you are so distracted that you lose sight of those, you're just going to be all over the place. You're going to be running around like a chicken with your head cut off. I was also thinking about social graces and learning how to talk to other people. I know it sounds funny, but it's one of those things nowadays, and the pandemic has put all that on steroids. People have fucking forgotten how to talk to each other. I swear to God. It's like people just come at you on social media and they'll just, I get this all the time. Somebody will just ask me a question, point blank, like, do this for me. You need to do this for me. Like, do this for me. Where do you do that? Where did you get this from? Where do you get your in context from? Give me advice for this, blah, 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 blah. And that's fine. I ask people to reach out to me on social media. And this is not just about me, but I think everybody in general. I just think there's a lack of social graces and cordiality. Is that a word? Of being cordial. You know, I think people just, they've lost sight of the ability to just be polite, you know, just to come up and start with, hey, you know, love your work. I know you're probably really busy, but if you get a chance, do you have any advice on this? That stuff goes a long way. And I'm talking about, this is not just with me. I'm talking about if you're reaching out to galleries, if you're reaching out to like grant programs, if you're trying to get your portfolio looked at or something, you're not going to just reach out and be like, hey, look at my portfolio. You know what I mean? You're going to start off, you're going to kind of ease your way into it and butter these people up, or just be nice, because people don't want to just feel like they're being used for information. It's like a transactional thing. I think a lot of stuff these days has become transactional. A lot of relationships have become transactional. And especially in the art world, it's all transactional. So if you can really find a way to be genuine with that and just be like, hey, you know, I've taken some time to look at your work or your gallery. I love what you do. You know, highlight certain aspects of it and then get into it. You know, oh, you know, if you have some time, if you're not too busy, I'd really appreciate this, or add some value first before you make the big ask. That's also very important. But just being cordial, you know, having some social graces, that is lacking so much in society now. Talking about going into restaurants and stuff, I feel like people are just like, I don't need to work. Like, you should be happy to see me here. No, you know, it's your job. You should be nice to people. I had to work. I had to put in my time for 17 years at a restaurant. I went in on days when I was hungover, when I wanted to kill myself. And I was like, you know what? I still gave it my all. I still gave it 100%. I still was nice to the customer. And I tried to do my best, even when I was feeling like crap. And I think that's something that is lacking nowadays. So take those words to heart and just apply it in your social media game or in your art game or in your gallery game or just talking to collectors game. If you really take a little extra time to just be nice, to be a human being, to treat that person like a human being, it goes such a long way. Trust me on that. And, you know, be careful how you talk to people. Like, some people don't realize how insulting they're being. I had a person in here recently, you know, working on the house. They were talking to me and they were just like, you know, just didn't know anything about art, but they were just like, oh, yeah, you know, I used to dabble with this and blah, blah, blah. And then they were just like, I don't understand how, I don't know why stuff still goes for $3,500, how anybody would pay that much money for this. But, you're an artist. It's like, they don't realize how insulting that is. It's like, well, I can tell you with over 20 years of experience why art goes for that much, but it's not worth it. It's not worth getting into it. So this is another area where social graces can come into play. Like, if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, then just, don't be so didactic. Don't be so over the top with your opinions if you don't know what you're talking about. I wouldn't do that to a doctor or a lawyer or somebody I don't know what the hell they do, a realtor. I wouldn't come in and start telling them how to do their job or belittle their job. So don't do it to other people. Don't do it to artists. Don't do it to gallerists. Don't do it to collectors. Don't do it to art critics. Be a decent human being and treat other people like human beings, and that will serve you well. The last random thought I wanted to talk about is something that Brent Estabrook and I talked about a little bit, and something that I've had an episode about a long time ago about abundance and, trying to look at things through that kind of a filter. I think that's so important as artists because, I think it's so easy to get wrapped up in a lot of this stuff I'm talking about, like the rude people or the transactional type of relationship, or the fact that somebody's not giving you props, or they're not coming to your thing. They're not reciprocating, coming to your show if you came to their show, or they're not giving you love on social media and you're giving them love on social media. All those things are huge distractions. And even if they're not huge, they're little distractions that add up and end up being a big thing. And it's like a draw on your psyche and your emotional well-being. So the one thing I'm going to say is just learn how to apply a filter. Like we put on a filter on Instagram. If you're, I don't necessarily agree with those, but I'm going to use it as an example anyway. Like you put a filter on Instagram to highlight the best part of yourself or your work or whatever it is. Put a filter on your life. Put a filter on how you see the world. Like, let's say, okay, typically I get upset about these things that happen. Somebody's not giving me my due. Somebody's not reciprocating. Somebody's not giving me the love on social media. Okay, well, instead of seeing that as something that somebody's doing to screw you over, let's put that filter on there. I choose to see these people as they're just busy or they're going through something, that I don't know about. This person wanted to come to my show, but maybe something happened to one of their family members or something. Put a filter on it that's like not coming from a place of negativity and seeing this person as doing something just to get to you or to get under your skin or to give you the middle finger. See it as something that is actually coming from a place of good intentions, but something just got in the way. I swear, if you start to see things that way, if you start to put that filter on, it's going to just change your perspective so much. And it can be with other things too. It doesn't have to be just about negative things. It can be about, choosing to focus on positivity and abundance, choosing to focus on the things that you see out there, quieting the news, quieting all the horrible, stories about the bomb cyclone, quieting all the political nonsense that you hear out there. Just filtering through that stuff and just highlighting things that you want to highlight. Oh, here's a really nice story here. Oh, here's something that somebody did that was really nice for another human being. Here's something somebody said to me on social media that was really nice. Oh, here's a collector that really likes my work. Focus on those little things. Focus on the gratitude aspect of it. Highlight those and really keep those present in your mind as you go through the day. And you will start to see more of that. And it'll start to change your perspective in general. And it'll just serve you well. So these are just some things I'm thinking about on a gloomy, rainy day. It's important to take some of these times to strengthen your mentality, strengthen the way you see things, strengthen your filters that you put on your life and your perspective. Because honestly, a lot of these things that I talked about today, they might sound a little pithy or they might sound like small things, but they're not. Sometimes these little tweaks, being nice to somebody, treating somebody like a human being, looking at things through the lens of abundance or the filter of abundance. Sometimes just these little things, focusing in on not being so distracted about everything, focusing in on the consistency. These little tweaks sometimes can be the difference in a world of so much talent and so much drive and people trying to achieve so much. These little things can be the difference that kind of put you ahead of somebody else or that serves you well long term. Like it's all about exponential growth, just like when you're investing, right? Most people get like 90% of their wealth in the last 10 years of their investing because of the exponential growth. You don't see it, but over time it just starts compounding and compounding and compounding. And you see it on a graph, all of a sudden it just shoots up like a rocket. It's the same thing with these little things. If you're doing these little things, if you're treating collectors well, you're treating gallerists well, you're treating people well in general, other artists well, and you're doing all these other things I'm talking about, those little things over time are going to give you the edge and the consistency, like uploading things consistently, focusing on quality, doing these things over and over, getting into the algorithms. Those little things too are cumulative and those compound as well. So if you do this stuff over and over and you keep your eyes on the prize, these things will give you the edge moving forward. You're going to look back 10 years from now, 20 years from now and be like, damn, those little things, those little tweaks really served me well, and I'm so glad that I applied those. So that's just some stuff I was thinking about today on a rainy, gloomy day in the middle of the bomb cyclone. What do you think about it? Reach out to me on social media. Be nice and reach out to me on social media. Say something nice, or at least just treat me like a human being before you reach out. And yeah, I'd love to have these conversations. Love to hear what you think about it. Love to hear how you're doing, and if you're applying some of these things in your art and in your career. So that's it for today. Take it easy, everybody. Let's start this new year off on the right foot and stay dry if you're in California or up the coast. Stay safe, stay dry, and we will see you on the next episode.
It's raining, it's pouring, the old man is snoring.
hard to hold a candle in the cold November rain. I'm only happy when it rains. I'm only happy when it's complicated. I'm only happy when it rains.
This has been the Living Artist Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I just want you to know that I appreciate you being here, and I'm grateful to be in your ears. Your art and creative life on this planet is meaningful, so thank you for sharing it with me. If you like this podcast, whatever platform you're listening to it on, please subscribe and share it with your friends. You can also leave me a positive review to show your support. This helps me to reach more people with the algorithmic magic and keep the show going strong. If you want to see more of what I do and check out the art that I create, you can visit my website at www.pmsartwork.com or follow me on social media everywhere at PMS Artwork. That's it for now. See you back here next time.